Town head to Coventry, looking to turn 1 point to 4 from 6. Can they replicate the fantastic performance of only a couple of weeks ago where they beat league leaders Coventry 3-0 at Portman Road? It's your match preview. It's live. It's Friday. Hello again, friends, and you are my friends. Welcome to your match preview ahead of tomorrow night's game away to Coventry City. I am doing a watch-along, so do come and join me if you should so wish to join a watch-along. It's going to be live. I'm going to be hopefully talking about a Town win, because last time we did our first solo watch-along, it was a drab, boring 0-0. So can it get better tomorrow night? We certainly hope so. But to break it all down, we are here to talk about our confidence heading in, our gut meter check, our 1 to 11, how many changes we would make, if any, ahead of the game, and of course our score prediction. As you can see, I'm joined by two wonderful people to help chew the Ipswich Town fat. It's Steve and it is Matt, and we are brought to you in association with Match Bingo and Stowmarket Osteopaths. A little bit more about those as we go through the course of the game. Show. Rather, not the game yet. The game hasn't quite hit us. And of course, hit the like button and subscribe for your Town news, views, fan opinion, reaction, and watch-alongs. Hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. We'll start with some transfer news. It is the season for transfer news, or little bits of information that start to come out. And first of all, I'll start with you, Steve. Chris Wilder at Sheffield United has suggested that Mckenna is not in his plans, which leaves the question, what do you kind of do there? Because he's played for both clubs, so he can't play for anybody else. Do you bring him back to Town if you can? Have him as an option, another right-wing option to join Casey McAteer, Wes Burns and Sindravali-Egli? Or do you leave him out on loan and hope that he forces his way into those plans of Blades boss Chris Wilder?
I'm not sure whether there's an option to bring him back, Gov. I'm not sure whether there's a termination option, is there? Is there I don't
You've got
think...
more chance of finding the lottery numbers out for midweek than you have clauses of loan deals and transfers. But if there is that option, what do you do?
Well, if there is that option, he's got to come back. You can't just, for the player at least. I mean, even though he's obviously had those injuries and bits and pieces, he's still our player. So we've got to still think the best for him. He's got to come back, and it's either got to fit in somewhere. I don't know where, because we've got a plethora of right wingers coming out of our ear holes at the moment. I don't know whether there's any other options or anywhere else he can play.
There isn't. He's played for two clubs this season.
No, as in position, Gov. Oh, okay. As in position. I don't know whether you can, I'm sure we're going to go through 1 to 11, but, at the end of the day, we're light on some positions. Can he do a job? I don't know. I honestly don't know enough about him in order, because we haven't seen masses of him, have we? Let's be honest. No. He set the world alight. We watched him playing against with Ireland, and he had some real good pace to him and this, that, and the other. But then obviously he got that really bad injury, and then he's just basically gone out on loan and disappeared a little bit, if I'm honest.
He's not. I don't believe he's currently fit. I believe he's currently injured, Matt. But we did sign him for £8 million. So if there is that option to recall, and obviously we're not 100% aware that there is or there isn't, but let's live in the world that there is. What do you leave? I'm sort of tending to think about leaving him out at Sheffield United, if that's the option, just to see if he can force his way in, because he's not going to force his way in. You would have thought here with Casey McAteer, 12 million this window, Wes Burns coming back fit, Sindravali-Egli, or maybe you think if you can bring him back, that opens the door for perhaps a Wes Burns loan departure to get him back playing, get him fit, get him fully firing. But he is, I believe, out of contract in the summer, so you leave yourself open there. It's who do you fancy the most?
Yeah, exactly that. Chris Boyd says here he can't be any worse than McAteer. I feel like I should do a Mick McCarthy impression here. He can. I mean, the guys are right there, actually. Benny has played right back when he was with Luton. So, I mean, there's a covering option there. But as we said before we came on air, just what we need. Another right-sided player who hasn't really been able to force his way into the side due to injury and then sort of lack of match fitness, which prompted the move out to Sheffield United. bit of a concern that he's not in Chris Wilder's plans, given that this is a player with Premier League pedigree and played there for us and Luton. So that's interesting, isn't it?
That could be formation-wise, couldn't it? Because I think Chris Wilder is he traditionally he's played with a back three with wing backs. Does Ogbene fit that system for him? Perhaps not. You know, they are struggling. They got beat yesterday by Wrexham. I think they were leading by 2 goals, and in the end,
5-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, came back to lose 5-3. That was sickening watching those highlights, Matt. Because you got Nathan Broadhead and Kiefer Moore just literally spearheading the Wrexham comeback, and both were in town shirts, and yeah, sickening.
I think probably I agree with you guys. Maybe Wes Burns is one that's going to go out on loan, but of course, yeah, you're right, Martin, saying that he's actually out of contract in the summer. But then I guess you're thinking to yourself, did Wes Burns set the world delight in the Premier League? Probably not. And then he gets injured in January at Anfield anyway. So there'd probably be a contract on the table for him if we were to stay in the Football League. Possibly not if we were to go up. But the latter option is looking unlikely at the moment.
Certainly is. Go on, Steve.
I don't think, from doing a little bit of digging, I don't think there's a recall clause. I don't think there's a recall clause that we can recall back. However, they might be able to terminate the loan. I don't know how that works and what financial issues they'll have, United, in doing that, because there will be a financial penalty because it's a season-long loan. Therefore, they'll have to pay something to terminate it. But then
interesting. Terminate it. Terminate it. Pay the fine. Terminate it.
They'll have to, I think,
because we might need that money. Because sticking with our right wingers, Matt, which is kind of why I've brought up Benny into the conversation, because it's a nice little tie-in for the right winger conversation. Because the Noiseland sporting director, has sort of spoken. I've read this morning about clauses and bonuses, and there could be a potential goal bonus for Sindra Egli, a great place to be. If he's scoring goals with perhaps winning games, and you don't mind playing that clause, right?
Well, exactly that. I mean, look, he comes with huge pedigree, doesn't he, Egli, and potential, which is why they've paid the Championship Football League record for him. And with that automatically places him above McAteer in the fans' eyes, because McAteer has come at 12 million. And isn't really hitting the heights that everyone was expecting from him, and didn't come with much fanfare, as we've said before. In fact, he came with a fanfare of Leicester fans going, "We're glad he's leaving." and I feel sorry for him, because I've said this on the show numerous times. His stats are pretty much on par with Egli's. The fact is that Egli comes with all the hype out of Norway.
Well, you said that a couple of weeks ago. Is that still the case with Egli's goals now added into the equation?
Well, yes. I mean, you've got Egli's started scoring goals, which is great. But I mean, still, McAteer has created more chances than what Egli has. Unfortunately for him, we haven't got the striker. We might come to this in a minute. We haven't got anywhere near good enough striking options for people to get on the end of the crosses that McAteer is putting into the box. And you've seen it in the last couple of away games. But yeah,
which was quite
Egli. It is exciting, and we want him to do well. Well, we want McAteer to do well, but we want Egli to do well, to be able to pay those clauses, because if he's scoring goals and whatever the clauses are, it means Ipswich are doing well.
It's quite, I don't want to keep going about the Wrexham Sheffield United game, but one of the things I did notice in those goals was centre forwards getting across the first man, getting across their defender to get their foot on the end of a cross. So, yeah, I agree. McAteer has been unfortunate in that we don't appear to currently have a centre forward willing to do that. But you also have to say he hasn't, stats are stats. But when you watch a game, and he hasn't necessarily passed that eye test of the necessary quality that you need to bring into the building. I always remember, and I might be dreaming this, but I'm sure we were told we're bringing in a profile of player that was going to be Premier League ready, or going to take so if we ever went back to the Premier League, we brought in players that were a certain style of play or could handle the Premier League. Can you honestly say, after halfway through the season, hand on heart, you've seen that from one of their signings in Casey McAteer, Matt?
No, I agree. I mean, the stats and the eye test are completely different. I get that. And I do get the criticism from people. I mean, look, people sit around me and on my WhatsApp with the people I sit with at Portman Road. Oh, very much in that boat. He's waste of money. But what I would like to hear from the local media is to ask Mckenna, what did he see in Casey McAteer that prompted him to pay 12 million, of which the Leicester fans, Steve, all said that was well over the odds. I mean, he doesn't look like a £12 million player. I mean, I get this. And if you think that, you know, even going back 18 months ago, our before we started signing players in the Premier League, it's still double what we paid for Serini, which was our record transfer fee for a good 20 odd years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I still, I mean, I'll pass over to you, Steve, but I still think McAteer is being judged against where he's putting balls into the box. There's no one there to score goals, which is the difference between us and Coventry. That's why they've got 50 plus goals and we haven't.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Thanks, Steve.
Definitely. I think if you look back at how the story played out in the transfer window at that point where we were purchasing players, I fear that was a rush signing, because at that point we had Ogbene and we had Burns out. Sindri wasn't in the door, he wasn't in the building, and who did we have there? We didn't have that amount of players there. So I see where you're coming from, Gov, in respect of if we're going to take these players up to the Premiership. I think you could say that for a number of the players in the squad at the moment, and that's me being brutally honest. I think you could go, actually, if we were to go up, we aren't in the position we were last year. The one player that you would want last year was Matasiwa, but we could go and speak a whole show about him. However, I think going back, Matt, to what you're saying about the crosses and bits and pieces, if you look at the stats, and I know we'll go on to Coventry, but we look at the stats at Coventry, 33 crosses into the box and conversions, that's their game. That should be your game. But like Matt says, we haven't got a player that will go across. And even when George Hurst is fit, he still doesn't do that as much as I'd like him to do that. He's not developed. I think he's got to where he is, and that's where, as far as he's going to go. And I'm being brutally honest, as far as he's going to go.
No,
he's
I agree.
not one of those people that is going to develop even more. And we knew that. We knew that when Delap went out the door, and you're not going to get the same sort of player, I don't think. But that, you know, if you're going the book of Ashton saying, yeah, we're looking at players that we want to develop and get through the door and go to that Premiership, that the centre forward was the first one on the list, surely. It had to be. It had to be. We knew that.
And it wasn't. And I said as much on yesterday's show with Lee and ITFC Beard, that I feel like George Hurst has kind of hit his ceiling. He'll be a very good Championship striker, but is he going to be a Premier League striker? I don't necessarily see that. Rob Smith says Harry Clark might be going back to Sheffield United. He certainly could be. We've got Luke that says too many players in the squad are bang average. Recruitment has been poor, which you could kind of say for the last 2 or 3 windows. Certainly the summer, you look at it, Sunderland are sort of showing you up a little bit in terms of what the recruitment can do for a Premier League season. But Beard also says McAteer wasn't recruited for his goals. He wasn't a prolific goal scorer. Luke, hardly any of these players could put up any trees in the Premier League. Only Kip Matasiwa are week in, week out good players that could make it to the Premier League. If we want the Premier League, we would be as bad as Wolves if we went there, says Luke. Chris Boyd, if we were to get promoted next season, we'd be far worse for an experience than last with this squad. I get all that. And someone said yesterday's show, Matt, before we move on to the actual match preview, you know, if you don't want to get promoted because you'll get shown up or something along those lines. And I said, you take promotion every day of the week, regardless of where you think your squad is, because Sunderland have shown one window, you get it right, and you can transform your football club, and it doesn't have to be as bad as necessarily it was in this division.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, if you just think about, people sort of gloss over the recruitment, don't they? People are starting talking about it now. But it's been glossed over, hasn't it, with Ashton doing training ground tours, and this is what this is going to look like in the future, and this is what Portman Road's going to look like. You know, that's all well and good, but you know, we want to see the results on the pitch. And where you're looking at kind of recruitment hasn't been very good. Well, you've done 20 million on 2 players that McAteer, that no one seems to like, in McAteer, and Ogbene's not going to get in the Sheffield United team. So there's 20 million at the moment that could have gone on the Delap replacement or whatever. I mean, they did get 30 million through the door, didn't they, for Liam Delap? And that's the frustration. Because at the moment, the recruitment we've had in strikers, Akpom, Ivan, and George Hurst has been with us for number 2. But none of those 3 are good enough to spearhead Ipswich getting into the top 2. And you've seen that now with Ivan coming into the side. I'm sure they're all top blokes. They came on the show, we'd love them, wouldn't we? But if we're being brutally honest, they're not good enough in that number 9 position. You look at our opposition we got on Monday night. We've got Hadji, Asante Thomas, Ellis Sims. All three much better. All three would play that 9 for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
Right.
you can go through the recruitment sort of window by window, and as somebody said in the chat there, Kipra and Matasiwas currently from the summer recruitment appear to have been the best purchases. But as I said, and we'll move on after this, Steve, as I said yesterday, Kipra's come in, made that shirt his own, done tremendously well, but it has come at the expense of a player you spent a considerable amount of money on in Jacob Greaves.
Yeah, it has. But I'll say it again.
That shows the recruitment there necessarily wasn't as right as it could have been, right? Because he's not made that position his own to the point where Kipra's come in and you're like, oh, you can't put Kipra in because where are you going to play him?
But then does that not highlight issues around maybe Mckenna and Ashton? If you look at it, it's not Mckenna going, actually, do you know what? I need a centre forward. I need someone that's going to do this, that and the other. Liam Delap's gone. Ashton, I need a centre forward. Has he said that?
Well, they're in together, aren't they?
Because we can't see.
Together. They look each other in the eye and they're in together.
Yeah, it's not just Ashton, it's Mckenna as well. And
Absolutely.
they both need to stand up and be counted because they knew Delap was going. He was the ones that was scoring your goals. And if McKenna's going, do you know what? George Hurst is good enough. Well, actually, Azon and Akpom were never going to take the place of Delap. Don't care what you say. Azon's a work in progress, and I think he will become a good player. I just think he's too raw. I think he's too inconsistent. I think he's got too much to learn, and he's still a young player. Akpom, I don't know. I hope we don't go up because obviously we've got an obligation to buy, haven't we? I know that's horrible to say, but all that I've seen of him, I just don't think that I don't know whether his attitude's not right. I don't know whether he's fitting in well in the positions that he's playing. I don't know whether he's frustrated because he's not starting. But every time he gets on that pitch, I just see someone who's a little bit petulant and a little bit, I just don't see it. I don't think he fits the mould, if I'm honest.
Akpom's a funny one, Steve. I do agree with you to some extent because, he scores on paper, it's a good signing. He scores all those goals for Borough a couple of years ago, 27, 30 goals, whatever it is. Gets big money to Ajax, but then in that season there, they loan him out to Lille. Yeah, so they obviously saw something that wasn't ticking the box for them in the Dutch top flight and to be able to play in the Champions League, whatever. And I think he plays in the Champions League for Lille as well. But then he's come back to Amsterdam. And he's been shipped off to us. I mean, look, we were going nose to nose with Birmingham, weren't we, to get him? And we was really pleased to sign him. But I agree with you. I don't know what it is. I mean, look, he was a youngster at Arsenal, wasn't he? And didn't make the grade there, which is why he had to pick up again at Borough and maybe a couple of other clubs. But yeah, it's a weird one. On paper, it looked really good. At the moment, Swodik's on paper looked really good.
Yeah. That's what I was just about to say. Yeah. We write that book, don't we? We pick the ones that have, Pigger again scored loads of goals. Didn't materialise, did it? Smodic scores loads of goals. Didn't materialise. So we if that's the player profile that we're looking for, has one great season, then goes into us and goes, oh, actually, do you know what? I've had a good season. I've had a payday. Away we go. Maybe we should be looking someone. I don't know. It's different.
I tell you what.
Sorry, Mate. I was going to say on the flip of that is Ivan Azon, who went from Zaragoza to Como, hasn't actually played for Como other than pre-season games. He got injured, and suddenly we bring him in to spearhead our promotion campaign. Doesn't make any sense to me.
With this, well, and it was a transfer that was on, off, and
it was called off, wasn't it, to begin with? It was in the door, and then it got people say we don't know if this is true, but failed the medical, and he goes back to Italy, and he suddenly returns out of the blue, like the McIntyre signing. Out of the blue, here he comes. He's fine down.
But and look, sometimes players fit systems, and they find a system or a style of play that absolutely plays to their strengths, and they excel in, and then they get moves away, they earn moves away, and that style of play at the other club isn't quite the same, so they don't quite produce in the same way. So look, I'm sure he probably has, but one of the first things I'd be doing over this Christmas period is picking up the phone to Michael Carrick and saying, Michael, how did you do it? What did you do? What were you doing that I can do? I can replicate how we approach a game, how we train, whatever it might be. to unlock the potential of a player that has scored so many goals at this level? I'm sure he's probably already done it. That's what I'd do.
The answer was Carrick moved him from the 9 to the 10. And McKenna's played him in the 10. It don't seem to be working.
Is it players around him? Are we looking to get pacey players around him? Or is it technical players? What's the midfield production like? Like whole different, because you've got to try and unlock the players that you've got at your disposal. We've got loads of comments. I absolutely love to see. Mr. Richard Moss said McAteer is pony. That's his opinion on Casey.
He's told me this on the phone.
McAteer. I have missed seeing the words pony. Only person I know who uses them. Love it. Luke, we need to get Furlong moving forward more, if not at right back, like Tuanzebe or Harry Clark. That will get down the wings. Ipswich Jules, do you think Ashton and McKenna may have thought they could convince that to stay, or they've been given the impression that he would? No, I don't think so. I think the moment that transfer clause became apparent and the season was going the way it was going, you had to prepare. You had to know he wasn't going to be in the Championship, and there's no way the transfer clause of £30 million, not one of the 20 odd Premier League clubs are going to say, yeah, no, that don't quite suit me, that one. You had to believe he was going to go. Chris Boyd, we know go on.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was going to say, look, get Furlong moving forward. Well, you saw that at Loftus Road, didn't you, against QPR? We kind of dovetailed really nicely with Egley, and I think he gets the assist, doesn't he, on the Hurst second goal? I think it was his second. But I wouldn't say Tuanzebe was exactly Usain Bolt down the wing either, was he? But he was playing in that right back position. I mean, centre half turned to right back. I mean, we used to joke that he'd maybe get a nosebleed if he crossed the halfway line, didn't he? I mean,
I thought he was fairly comfortable going forward. I thought that was an underrated part of Axel Tuanzebe's game, actually, for a centre half that was playing right back. I thought it was underrated part of his game.
Yeah, Kipre style build, wasn't he, on that right hand side? Really,
you do need a threat down that right. Like at the moment, I don't feel like teams necessarily consider Darnell Furlong on the overlap as a threat, and you have to do that. You have to put questions in the fullback's mind when the overlap is happening.
Yeah.
Do I go with the runner? Do I go with the ball carrier?
Egley likes to go inside as well, doesn't he? He likes to pull inside, so you need that to go round.
You also need that movement to put the doubt in the fullback's mind, because when you've got a player going past your left-hand side and you're the left back, for example, you've got a question right there and then. Do I go towards Matt, who's the ball carrier, or do I go with Steve, who's on the overlap? Sometimes players go with the overlap. That gives Egley that half a yard of space where he can make something happen, or he goes and then you can play it into Darnell Furlong. You have to have a threat. I know it's not Leif Davis, but you have to have a threat.
Yeah, the irony of this conversation is, and it goes back to a comment we had earlier, was everyone sort of saying this is one of the worst championships that they can remember. We are actually third top scorers behind Coventry and Hull. And here we are talking about lack of attacking options, not got number 9. You're the third top scorers in the league, which is pretty crazy, really, isn't it? I think that just goes to show how, I keep saying it, and you might agree, Steve, I just feel like we've been in second and third gear all season, and we're sitting in third place. Even like this disappointing draw against Mill, people couldn't capitalise on it against us, could they?
Could you imagine if we had a proper number 9? Do you know what I mean?
I know, it'd be scary, wouldn't it?
It would be scary. Absolutely
scary. I hope the rest of the league better hope we can't find one in January. Whereas we all hope we certainly
who that's gonna, I mean, that's the eternal question, isn't it? Who is that going to be? If they can get someone in, because they had all summer and didn't.
Yeah,
you know, of a talent level that we think is good enough to play that role week in, week out. Stay injury free.
Come out of nowhere. Like last summer, ideas that transfer or potential transfer came out of nowhere. I always say with these, who you're going to get. I'm not Mark Ashton. I don't have a list of agents on my telephone. I don't have football clubs in my directory. I don't know who's available. I don't know who's approached and said this player may be available, etc., etc. So to play who may you get is sort of we've got worldwide football. You can choose any number of strikers and name them as your top target. Yeah. But Chapley would make no difference, says Shabby. And Shabby also says the recruitment system, the scouting system is still in recovery. Perhaps it's still in reboot after Brighton gave us the login again. You know, they've passed us the login and it's still in the reboot mode. That, you know, sometimes your PC is after Windows 11 update. Takes forever.
I think bringing I don't know if you agree with this, Steve. I think I'm a fan of bringing Chaplin back. Anyone who scored 13 goals in the Championship. I mean, we just started the show by lamenting the fact that Kiefer Moore and Broadhead are doing very well for Wrexham.
Shouldn't let Broadhead go. Said at the time.
Well, exactly. But Broadhead scored as many goals as Chaplin did for us in the promotion campaign. They both got 13 apiece. You bring him back so he can play in the 10, which will then allow Nunes, gives you another option now into midfield, because you're forever in this dynamic of who's partnering Matasiwa. Well, soon Matasiwa's going to miss games, isn't he? Because he's going to get another yellow. That's inevitable. So you're forever in this cycle of Cahuste-Taylor, Taylor-Cahuste. You need to be able to bring Nunes back into what is actually his truer position, into this. I think plays the 10 very well. but you need him as an option, but going back into centre mid, because he's only playing the 10 because no one else is good enough in there and in form enough to play it.
I agree. Yeah, but I want pace in that number 10 role. I want somebody to come in with some pace who can threaten in behind, because at the moment you've got 3 players who they don't always want the ball to feet, but if you were going to list their strengths, it probably is ball to feet, hold up play. But then, so you need to threaten in behind. You need to ask questions when you have that hold up play of who's going to be threatening with pace. At the moment, Nunez, for all the technical ability he has, and he finds pockets of space on that right particularly, you aren't going to say Nunez is going to threaten you with the pace in behind, off the 1-2s, off the connection play, but he will technically outplay you, and that's kind of where you want him deep. And I think the dream, I think the vision was Matasiwa with his problem solving, and Nunez with his ability on the ball and the technique and all of that. To do it, we need pace within the side. That's what makes McAteer such a good, exciting player for me, Steve. Is that he's got pace. He's the only player really that you can say hand on heart out of all the front players. Perhaps necessarily not Jaden Philogene, Dinovali Egley. We've seen flashes, but not a tremendous amount of out and out pace. McAteer has out and out pace, Steve. We missed it so much.
Yeah, he does. I want to go back to the point of being Chaplin back. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure whether that's gonna be a positive experience in respect. He's been playing a lot in Portsmouth out on the wide flanks. He's not been playing in the middle, so he's not been playing the 10 at Portsmouth. He hasn't. My issue with Nunez dropping back in is he going to get gobbled up in the middle of the park with all the dirty stuff that's happening with your middle battles and stuff like that? Nunez, you want on the ball, getting them pockets, sliding them passes in, and the best position for that is the 10. It is. You can't, and I know that you're
so in
going to
that
run
case,
out.
you need to recruit pace either up front or another
You need
more pace, on the flanks, not just a few you've got, because you have to inject. And also, Steve, I'll go further before we go into the actual match preview. I'll go further and say, in that case, if you want to play Nunez in the 10, fine. You need to inject some pace up front, but also need to inject some pace into the centre of the park alongside Matasiwa. Taylor's great. He's busy. He's a workaholic, but he isn't going to thread the needle. He isn't going to bring pace to the side. I'm a big Jack Taylor fan. You ain't going to find no one bigger than me in Jack Taylor's bandwagon. I'm driving that. But you need to inject pace somewhere into this side. You have to.
Yeah, and you will do. I still go to say that we need a centre forward that's got a bit of pace in them and a bit of something about them. And yeah, it's very difficult because as much as he's not the finished article, if you watched Azon playing off the left when you saw him and he's taking his goals there on full speed, he has got a bit of pace about him. But the problem you've got is on the left-hand side, you've got Jaden, who's obviously, it plays that position almost.
He's our best player.
Do you know what I mean? So Azon won't go there because it's taken by Jaden. I just think you need it needs a bit of tactical nous of actually are we playing that system where we're getting crosses into the box and we want our 9 to go across, or are we playing slot through on the last man all the way through a bit of pace? And that goes down to Mckenna. Is that the way you want to play? If that's the way you want to play, that's who we need to recruit. Because at the moment, the recruitment is a mixture of different tactics. And I know we've got to have a plan B. I get that.
Yeah.
But you don't see your Coventrys, your Stokes, the people that are setting up. They've got an identity. Actually, you know what? We're going to sit back and we're going to let you come on to us, and then we're going to hit you on a counter break with some pace. Okay, I've got players to do that. Coventry have got players play out on the wide positions, get the crosses in. We've got players to do that. With us, it's almost a mixed match of, you know what, that was £12 million for Casey McAteer. Do you know what? I think he'll fit well. Yeah, let's get him. Oh, Azon's, let's get him. And it's almost like a mixed match of identity of the way we want to play. We're quite trying to replicate last year with players that actually aren't going to fit that position. That's my opinion.
No, I agree. David, €10 super chat. Appreciate you, David. Thank you so much for generosity. And he's also gifted 5 people Talking Town memberships. David, thank you so much. Hope you had a great Christmas. And always appreciate your generosity and your support of the platform. So that's 5 new people that are members. They've got access to member-only shows. Obviously, got Discord as a thank you. And you get 20% off our merchandise store. Matt is proudly wearing some of the merch on the show today. Look at that pride of Anglo, which we certainly are, and we can't wait to play Norwich again, even though they are a little bit resurgent. Look at that beautiful
For a mug.
Beautiful,
Steve.
beautiful.
Same mug.
Nice.
Find us on Etsy, Talking Town Threads, and don't forget this show is brought to you in partnership with Match Bingo. Remember the word town all in caps because we partnered with them to give you a 100% deposit bonus. The deposit minimum is £10, and while it's bonus cash and can't be withdrawn, the winnings absolutely can be. So that 100% deposit bonus, remember the word town, all in caps. Terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only. Please gamble responsibly. Visit begambleaware.org for more information. Match Bingo combine the thrill of live sport and the thrill of bingo. Scan the QR code next to their logo or link in the description to play today. Mike says, still not replaced Omari's pace and trickery. Peter says, Smollett, when he plays, just chases air. McAteer, poor player. Akpom, poor. Furlong, average. I'm afraid the team we have got now is no way good enough. Mike also says, agreed to go. I've been saying it for a while. We have 0 pace. Issues Jules. Nunez can drop into midfield while Sindra Valiegli can play the 10. Great comment. Perhaps we'll see that, but I don't think we probably will in the short term. Right, let's go on to our gut meter check ahead of Coventry. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are we heading in? Why are you that number? Steve, I'll start with you. 1 to 10, how confident and why are you that number?
4.
Oh, we're just beating them 3-0, Steve.
I just don't. I can't see, Gov. If they go 1-0 up, I can't see where the goals are coming from. I can't see where we get them back in. I don't see it. I think that they've obviously just come off a 1-0 win from Swansea, I believe it was Swansea. You know, that was a hard-fought battle, from what I can gather, and they've obviously ground out a result there. They haven't lost at home in 13 games.
What are they about to, Steve?
So I think it. I just can't see where the goals are coming from. And my fear is that we will go a goal down early doors, and then that'll be that.
Look, listen, the stats will absolutely back you up on that. If Town go a goal down, switch the box off, walk out of is it still the Rico Arena?
CBS Arena.
CBS Arena.
Society. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Walk out. Well, look, because the stats suggest Town ain't going to come back, but we believe, right? That's why we're Town fans. So a 4 from Steve. Let us know your confidence in the chat and why you feel it, because Scotland said 5. It's 50-50. We do play better against better teams. Agreed. And David said, I recommend everyone to get some Talking Town merchandise. Yes, David. Appreciate that. Absolutely. Matt, Steve's a 4. Skyline is a 5. Yeah. Where are you and why are you there?
I was a 5. Steve's took me back down to a 4, I think. I totally agree. I totally agree with what he's saying. I'm just fearful that we could see another Leicester away performance coming. You know what I mean? You go a goal down early, and we're never ever going to get back in that game, were we? I mean, we go 2-3 down, get a consolation at the end. It's got all the hallmarks of that for me at the moment. What I will say though is that in December, I think Coventry have dried up on the goals a little bit since they came to Portman Road. I mean, they were scoring 50 odd, weren't they, in the first 18 games or wherever it was. I think they've scored 4 in 5 games since they came to Portman Road. So that's interesting to me. But yeah, it's the conversation we've had for the last half an hour, isn't it? Where are the goals coming from? Away from home. We've not won away from home for a month. Hull City was the last one, wasn't it? Where we kind of played very similar to what we did against Millwall, didn't we? Which is to kind of like, I don't know, sort of control the game defensively, kind of suffocate, strangle the opposition out of the game a little bit, and then try and score on the counter, which we did pretty well. There were half chances, weren't they? The Philogene cross, then in his header, and then Akpom with the tap in. But we didn't have that luxury against Millwall. And I think if we do go a goal down against Coventry, I don't see where we're going to get 2 goals from. We could get back in the game and get a draw, but to win the game, I think will be very difficult. And they seem to score goals from all areas. I mean, just looking at the stats there, I mean, 20 of their 50-plus goals have been from set pieces. So you've got, if they do hit the form they've had in the first few months of the season, I think it's going to be a long day for us. And, we didn't show anything against Millwall. Well, didn't show anything, did we?
Count yourself lucky. You've got a a set piece coach that we've got at the football club. They ain't getting one against us on
Yeah.
Monday night. Let's believe that. But look, listen, I actually think because Coventry are where they are, their style of play, being the home side, this may be more like a home game in the sense of a style that we approach it with, as opposed to an away game. I don't think Coventry are going to come and say, okay, we'll sit 10 men behind the ball, we'll launch a counter-attack on you. They're going to come and try and be expansive,
Yeah, they
be the
will.
normal Coventry style, which we've seen in the past more times than not plays into Ipswich Town and the way we play. So this could be something that actually works in our favour. Whereas I think Millwall, there was periods of the game where they were on top, but with their, with their injuries, etc., they kind of were happy to play a midfield battle, to sit in, to work the transition and all those different things. And they had to at times, but then at other times they were on the front foot. But I think Coventry were more on the front foot and believing more in the quality that they've got because of where they're on the league.
They did do that at Portman Road, and actually we gave them a bit of a lesson, didn't we? At Portman Road. I mean, we're a very, very different side.
Yeah.
We're a very different side away from home, aren't we? Which is frustrating, really, because you go back to February, which was Palmer's debut for us, I think it was, in the Cup, and we beat them easily, 4-1. And we sat on this show and said, oh, this was a Premier League side against the Championship side, and we sorted them away easily. And Jack Clark was superb in that game. Perhaps he'll start this one. But that's frustrating to me that 10 months later, we're sitting here going, oh shit, can we get something out of this game against opposition that less than a year ago we've beaten quite handedly? We've beaten them away and we've beaten them at home, and we've beaten them at home this month as well.
But we're in a funny position, aren't we? Because as fans, if you didn't know football and you listened to this show and other town shows and looked at social media, you'd be thinking, oh, well, okay, they can't be where they are in the league table. And you look at the league table and you read third. It's a really funny position to be because it doesn't, how you feel and where the league table says you are doesn't quite marry up into how you should feel. And Shano says we've been so spoiled. It does feel like the different one days, drawing with the Rovers, and then we took off. Patience, we are third, and I agree with that. Every time I look at the league table, I'm staggered because I come off shows sometimes thinking, Christ, are we going to stay up? But it doesn't. It's difficult to marry up how you necessarily feel. And when we look at the 1 to 11 from the Millwall game, we'll go into that now and discuss how many changes we make, why we would make them, if we would make any. Obviously, only a couple of days ago, but I'll remind you, the team was Walton, Furlong, O'Shea, Kipre, Davis, Matasiwa, Kayust, McAteer, Nunez, Jaden Philogene, and Ivan Azon. Yesterday's show, we had Bjorn left a great voice message. He said he'd want Akpom to play at least 3 or 4 games up front to see what we've got. Give him a run of game. Don't just play him once and say, oh, didn't quite work out for those 60 minutes. Play him for a run of games, which obviously would be Coventry, Oxford, Portsmouth, etc. But where are you with your changes? Matt, I'll start with you. 1 to 11, you just read it out for you. How many are you making? Why are you making them?
I'm making wholesale changes particularly. I mean, the option at 9 is either Azon or Chuba, isn't it? I mean, so there's not a variety of options there. I mean,
do you agree with Bjorn? Give Akpom 3 to 4 games up front to see what you've got when January rolls around, ahead of potentially whatever you can do with that loan spell, if you can do anything?
No, probably not, to be honest with you. He's not been brought in to play the 9, has he? He's been brought in to play the 10. And actually, we were told, Martin, by the Zaragoza fan you had on, Ivan was better. He said Ivan's a better 10 than he is 9. So maybe we're judging these players unfairly here. But I mean, look, needs must. Hurst ain't going to be fit to play. So one of them's got to play in that position. Given that Ivan has got more goals, I'd probably go there. But yeah, certainly Walton keeps his place, doesn't he? As long as he stays healthy. I don't actually see, but don't know what you think, Steve. I don't actually see Palmer coming back at the moment if Walton carries on like this.
He should do. Yeah. He won't be. He should do, but he won't be.
I don't. Yeah.
Furlong at right back. O'Shea keeps his place. O'Shea's passing in the last 2 games has been bloody lousy. If we're going to sit here and go McAteer's this, that, and the other, O'Shea's passing out in the back against Leicester was appalling, which is why Fatawu scores from his own half. And he did it exactly the same against Mill, but they weren't good enough to capitalise. So I just want to point that in there because I think O'Shea's getting a free ride.
Let's be fair to Zara. There's only three passes a game that go astray. The rest of them are all right, but there's those 3 passes that are in dangerous areas that you go, my days, what's he done?
If that was Casey McAteer, the fan base and some of the comments we're seeing there would never play for Town again. I mean, Kipre is, as you said earlier, Gov, is lodged in at the left centre back. I don't see Greaves getting back in. He's in Palmer territory at the moment. Kipre would have to be injured or have a real howler not to get back in. And Leaf is obviously in there.
This is Mckenna.
Cahuste, I didn't think played very well against Mill. Should have scored. Had a really good chance on the edge of the box. Could have called that top corner, stuck it in the stand. I think when Taylor come on, he's passing into the final third. He's much better than Cahuste's.
So you're making one change there. You're bringing Taylor in for Cody.
Taylor will come in for me. Yeah, Matasiwa comes in now. I think you'll probably see Egley. McAteer starts against Mills. I think probably see Egley on the right-hand side. Nunes will stay to 10. I'll bring Jack Clark in on the left-hand side, given he was so good against Coventry at the top of the year and seems to score away from home as well, which Philogene doesn't do. No. Even Sky said it. What an amazing stat. Philogene hasn't scored away from Portman Road this season. Well, if you've seen all the games, you'll see that he's hardly in the game.
That'll change Monday night, don't worry.
And then either Ivan or Chuba in the 9. Neither are preferable options, but I'm probably going to go with Ivan, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So you're making 3 changes there: Jack Clark, Sindravali Egley, and Jack Taylor. And I just want to sort of touch on Jacob Greaves, Cedric Kibbe before I ask Steve his 11 or his changes, how many he's making and why. Because obviously you talk about stats in terms of, I'm not going to say defensive McAteer, but I'll say it in defensive McAteer. Look at the stats; he's quite comparable to Sindravali Egley. But if you look at the stats of Jacob Greaves in terms of progressive passing, aerial duels, etc., he is up there, but he's lost his place so far to Cedric Kipre. So how do you balance that one yourself when you look at the stats of McAteer and Egley and things? Because the stats of Jacob Greaves are fairly consistently good.
Well, they are, aren't they? But that's the rod that McKenna's made for his own back. And I'll see if you agree, Steve. I mean, we've had this. We've said this a few times, haven't we? The left-sided centre-back is always open to change under McKenna, and you saw it with Edmondson and Burgess, and you saw it with Burgess and Greaves, and now you're seeing it with Greaves and Kipre. It's very odd. It's never been explained because the right centre-back that never changed, even before Dara became captain. That never changed really, and that's why Wolfenden left. And I noticed Wolfenden actually played against Swansea on Boxing Day, so presumably he's going to play against us tomorrow evening, which should be interesting. But yeah, forever chopping and changing that left-sided centre-back. But it seems at the moment that it's Kipre's shirt, which we've not really said.
It's quite a specific role, isn't it? It's not, you either get a right-footed left centre-back or you get a left-footed left centre-back, and it can be quite specific. I'm with you, Gov. It's, you've got Greaves sitting there and you're like, well, what am I going to do? It's like the Palmer. Experience all over again. And unfortunately, Kipre's playing well, and I'm a very big fan of Kipre. I think he's a very, very solid. Greaves was accident prone. He was prone to them issues around it, but then so is O'Shea. Like his passing can be that. The first half against Norwich, his passing was woeful. Absolutely woeful, and you just sat there and you went, "Here's a goal waiting to happen here. It's coming."
See, I look at this
Sheffield Wednesday. Against Sheffield Wednesday was controlled, didn't they? Straight to that Jamal Lowe.
But see, this is where I look at the squad, and I think you've got 3 centre halves that are probably more, and less so Kipre and O'Shea, because they've formed a good partnership, and I think that's the difference. Their partnership is better than the Greaves and O'Shea partnership. You look at the 3 centre halves, I think a back 3 of those 3 would be very good. Greaves' ability on the ball, O'Shea in the centre, Kipre on that right hand side, or Kipre and O'Shea, whatever you want to do it. But it would protect O'Shea. It would bring Greaves' progressiveness with the ball into the play. But I also think it would help Casey McAteer as a right wing back, because we know defensively he's fairly decent. He's got pace. He can get up and down that flank. You look at the squad makeup, and you talk about what we do in earlier, Steve. I think you've kind of got a 3-5-2 brewing there. It will never do. It will never do. But you've got that.
Casey McAteer is a defensive right wing backer. He is. Every day of the week, he's not going to be your Egley, go inside, smack one with your left foot. He's not that player. And this is what frustrates me a little bit about our fan base, is that you're trying to fit someone into a position that they don't play. That's not his position. He's never gonna be your Amari Hutchins and set the world alight that way. He is a hard-working defensive midfield right winger. That's what he is. That's the position he plays. Again, it goes back to the recruitment element of it. It worries me that was a bit of a rush by, if I'm honest.
Potentially so. All right, so any changes? How many changes are you making, Steve?
I'm making 2.
2? Who are they, and why are you making them?
Okay, so Egley's coming back on the right. I just think we need that bit of attacking presence to force that left winger and left back. Thinking about him going forward rather than them bombing on, because obviously the cross is coming for Coventry. So that's what I'm doing that. And then all aboard the Taylor train in the middle of the park, because I think he'll give you more energy than Coast will give you. And I think Coast is better off the bench to settle things down later on when Taylor's run out of legs. But I'm leaving the rest on. That's it.
Oh, look, you won't find a person who argues against Jack Taylor playing less than me. I absolutely love Jack Taylor. Anytime anyone plays him, brilliant. Because at the moment, I think he's
Steve's not changing Philogene. Then you keeping Philogene in now?
I'm keeping Philogene on. I think the front three is going to be massive for this game. Like Jaden, Egley, and Nunes. I think they're going to be massive for this game, because I can't see the goals coming from your 9. I just don't see it. I think Nunes could potentially open the door with a free kick if we get one in them positions and nick a 1-0 win. I'm hoping, wishing. But you know that your wingers there need to push them fullbacks back. To stop the feed through to the left and right wingers of Coventry, because that's their outlet. That's where they'll spread the ball out to. So I think that's really, really, really important.
Look, Philogene needs to change that statistic, of not scoring away from home. So to do that, you need to play. So I'm with Steve, but I also would view or go into the game with a view that probably Jack Clark will start. He's not played the last game. I think he's certainly been a thorn in Coventry's side on a couple of occasions. So why not try it and see if that's just a player they can't contend with? And like Nugent always scoring against Ipswich, maybe Jack Clark is the Coventry kryptonite, and we've got that hidden weapon. You've got Egley on the right. That'd be 2 changes. I want to see Akpom up front. I want to see what we've got with Akpom as a centre forward, with the ability to hold it up. But also, I want to see him threaten in behind. That's channel runs, and that's also off the last shoulder. Didn't see enough of it when he came on against Millwall. You've got to put more questions into the back 4 or 3 or 5. However many players are back there for Coventry, Millwall and co. Into them. You've got to put more questions into their minds. Is this player going to go to feet? Have I got to follow him? Will a midfielder pick it up? You've got to put hesitation, because at the moment, there's too easy for the back 4, back 3, etc., to play against Ipswich Town, because they're static, they're statues. That's always easy. You can always mark a statues. When they're movement, you've got to put the question marks in the back line. Same in midfield. Karius, I love watching play. My issue with Jens Karius is the consistency of how he takes over a game. He needs to start taking games over, particularly at this level, for longer periods of time than 5, 10, 15 minutes, then going quiet and then coming back into it, then going quiet. You don't want him having to run the game. Matt Sewell can do that for you, but certainly be on it more than he has shown. Because when he's on it, Wednesday at home particularly, Town score goals when Jens Karius is really on it. But Jack Taylor with his energy, I think he's the better option there. And that's kind of where you are. The 10 could change, but if you're changing the 10, you're moving Akpom to 10 and bringing Azon or keeping Azon up front. So you've got a lack of options there. Unless Smolix is over his illness and he can play, that's always a potential. I do like Sammy Smolix, particularly away from home, where he's had more of his success. He's sort of if Jaden Philogene can't score away from home, Sammy Smolix can't score at home. So maybe you play Jack Clark and Sammy Smolix and you've got a potential there. But it's interesting either way. It's interesting how he's going to approach it. Some players, though, Matt, the stakes are huge for some players, because you've got a window opening up. You've got those at the top of the football club saying, we're going to be aggressive, we're going to make moves. You've got to make sure that isn't your position. They're making a move in. So you've got to, it's some big games coming up for some players.
We're all sitting here saying, all right, we're going to be aggressive in the market. There's money to spend, Ed Schwartz and Ashton said, and they'll make moves. But of course, you're limited in the squad numbers, aren't you? Which means people are going to have to move out. And I see Harry Clark was mentioned as maybe somebody who could be going back to Sheffield United or someone of that ilk, I guess. Wes Burns might be another one that makes way to go on loan somewhere, as we said earlier. Yeah, interesting. But certainly, I mean, it's like, the bat phone is going on this number 9 for us. It's a shame they're not in play to be able to play in such a huge game against Coventry, really, try and cut that gap down. But we're just going to have to wait until the new year for that one. But certainly play, as we say, you want to see if Smodics is going to play, you want to start to see him scoring goals at Portman Road. If Philogene is going to play, as Steve rightly says, then you want to start seeing him scoring goals away from home. I mean, we have been, I've been a bit doom and gloom on this because it's frustrating. But we are, let's not lose sight of the fact we are the third top scorers in the division and we are third in the table.
Staggering.
Not playing very well away from home at all. This season. And we didn't start the season very well away, did we, at Birmingham? And we've had glimpses of Swansea helping hand from Cam Burgess, thank God. QPR kind of bored hold to death and got the 2-0 there. Got out of jail against Blackburn. These performances need to go up a couple of gears if we're to threaten the top two. And to threaten the top two, we need another number 9. So that's my wish list for January.
Absolutely.
Better away form, better striker.
Yeah, I appear to have made a few people laugh with my recent terminology of defensive winger when I was describing Casey McAteer.
Positions.
Defensive. He is a defensive winger. If you're playing a team that's really strong down the left, like if you were playing Ipswich and you had Leif Davis as a threat, you'd play Casey McAteer because defensively he's very good, very good. The issue is. He's been brought into a position where he needs to be the player that scores goals, make goals, and because points make prizes, and it isn't quite happened for him yet. But I agree with what you said earlier, Matt. A centre forward masks everything. Look at that Wrexham game. And I'll keep bringing it back. But a striker's getting across the first man onto crosses, being a danger, being a threat. A striker masks all.
Well, the Sky commentators weren't great on Boxing Day, particularly on the Red Button or wherever it was. But I mean, they were surprised McAteer got subbed in the second half and thought he was playing very well. Ditto Philogene. They couldn't understand why Mckenna had ball. I thought you can understand it because we know Mckenna pretty much pre-plans all these subs. There's a lack of flexibility there, so I'm sure it was pre-planned. But they thought McAteer was playing well. But I hope he can get a moment. I mean, we don't want to be sitting there and seeing comments on there and people going, McAteer's the worst town signing forever. Or X amount of years and all that. I mean, look, let's hope he has a moment, gets the assist, scores the winner against Coventry. That's what we all want to see for him.
Absolutely.
It's not his fault he cost 12 million, is it?
No.
Obviously, Mckenna, and too many Mac names here. Mckenna and Ashton saw something in him that made them want to pay 12 million. Well, now, whether that was a panic, Steve, as you rightly said earlier, I think maybe they've added another 2-3 million on top of the fee there in order to get him in the door. Like, as you rightly said, Egley wasn't there. So it's not his fault he comes with the price tag. But I do get the criticism as well. Do you know what I mean? I mean, look, people.
Yeah, I don't care about the fee.
That. I do get that. I do get it.
But I don't care about the fee because it ain't coming out of my bank account. If it was, I absolutely would be more worried about the fees of who we've paid and why. But it ain't my money, so I don't care. Spend 50 million. I'm more worried about the production and the eye test. And I know you suggest stats are pretty good and fine, great. Hopefully that carries forward and we can get something. But it isn't just a Casey McAteer. It's a whole wide recruitment thing. So look at the summer business. As I'm at Seawart, his head and shoulders the best player from that window. Other than that, you have to kind of say Kit Bray. You could argue, you could throw into there as well. But you have to say, Steve, the window in the summer was poor.
Yeah, it's bang average. Bang average. We knew that we had those holes, and we haven't filled them.
Players they've tried to fill it with haven't
come. No. And I think we focused on Hayden Hackney so much that it was Hayden Hackney this, Hayden Hackney that, this, that, and the other, and he never came. And we predominantly do it all the time, don't we? We see it all the time, as much as what we see in the media and as what we see in outlets is that we put our beans in all one pot, and actually, then it don't come to fruition, does it?
We do that quite a lot.
I think going back to Casey McAteer, I think played in a formation where he would flourish, I think he'd be a really good player for you. I really do. I do believe that. I think he's got something about him that he would do that role for you, like going up against Leaf. He's got the pace. He's got the technical ability in order to shut a player down. If you said, right, go and mark that one, shut him down, he wouldn't be beaten for pace. He's a quick player. I think he's got pace, abundance of pace. But he's a different player to Amari Hutchinson. He's a different player to Singray. He's not that player.
But it isn't just this window either, as Luke says. You look at the last summer window, the first Premier League window. You have to sit back and say, well, Smodics hasn't quite hit the mark. Jack Clark's been hot and cold. So has he produced in the way that you expected or wanted or hoped? You know, if you took the lap out of that window, is that a great window? Probably not. Then the January window took Jaden. I know he had an injury, but Jaden came in, didn't look like the player that he is now. He's now coming up in, you know, developing the way we hoped. But in that window, was it what you needed at the time? Probably not. And other signings of that window. So yeah, as Luke says, the last 3 windows, it has to be, if you look back on reflection, they ain't great. They've not hit the mark in certain areas, and they've been important areas as well. Like the goalkeeper, Christian Walton, is he better than Alex Palmer? They're probably head and shoulders. But you've spent money in that position, and you've still not improved it. And that kind of is a symptom of the whole squad in certain areas. You spent money, but you haven't necessarily improved what you already had in the building, which lends itself to recruitment. And et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, we could go on and on. Jamie says, finally, Hurst was amazing in pre-season. Might have made them look elsewhere and not for a better striker. Yeah, we were pre-season kings. You know, we won the pre-season. Stick that in the trophy.
We scored goals in pre-season, which we weren't doing the season before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, score prediction and first goal scorer should Town score. But based on a 5 and a 4, I'm guessing you two are going to go Coventry 2, Coventry 3. Like, you're not going to give me anything confident here, are you? Because I'm buzzing here. I think Town can do something tomorrow, but you two clearly don't. Steve.
You go back. I can't.
You said a 4.
Follow that,
I'm still going to start with you.
That, Gov, can I? Whatever I say is wrong. It
Absolutely,
feels like in my home.
Give me some confidence. Give me some confidence.
I'm going a 2-1 defeat. And I am going, if someone's going to score, I've got a feeling there's going to be a Nunez free kick in there somewhere. But yeah, I think it'll be a 2-1 defeat. I just think that they will go ahead and we won't be able to scrap that back. I think it's going to be 2-1.
Lynn says 2-1 Town. Craig from Winchester says 2-1 Town. O'Shea from a corner. Love that. Set piece goal and Dara O'Shea. Colin says 3-2 to Town. Egley the first goal scorer. Mike says Chelsea fans are slating the lap. Well, if they are, they can certainly do us a favour and loan him back out to us. And we'll get him back, fire him. And David says, since Mike O'Leary left, our recruitment has been bad. And Graham's gone for a 0-0. Matt, over to you.
Yeah, I'm not sure Mike O'Leary was
I don't.
spearheaded that. But,
perhaps those styles were just player profile.
Yeah, exactly that. But I do think from a club being run point of view, they probably miss O'Leary. Yeah, I certainly agree with that. What do I think is going to happen in the game tomorrow? Look, I don't want to sit here and say Ipswich are going to lose the game, but I do agree with Steve in that. I think
you're going to anyway.
I think if we go a goal down, it's going to be very difficult. I do think both teams will score.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much nailed on. It's whether or not Coventry have the extra impetus at home to make it 2-1.
Steady on that. Too confident here. Town might score.
Yeah, exactly that. Who would score for Town? I have no idea who would score for Town. I'd like to think maybe we could get a set piece goal. Kipray away from home, maybe from a corner.
Oh yeah, he likes the goal, doesn't he?
Yeah. Or O'Shea like at the near post, like he did against Borough. That was a nice header. I want to give O'Shea some positivity because I said his passing's been flipping lousy. I don't think too many people disagree with that. I don't want to be sick because whenever I'm negative, Steve, people remember it for months on end.
Into the wilderness.
We're gonna get slated. They're gonna go on and win 4-0, and we're gonna be like, don't want to come on Talking Town anymore.
Well, you two, yes, not me. I'm confident.
My head says probably Coventry will just probably edge it 2-1. But I do think back to like when we played Hull, and as we said earlier, they're now second top scorers. We're scoring a lot of goals, but conceding a lot. We pretty much negated them a little bit. Like I said earlier, wasn't it? A very boring game, really, other than suddenly we appear in the second half with 2 half chances, make our raft of substitutions. We were too good for them. But I think Coventry are top for a reason. And I think maybe just at home, they will edge it. And you could say that's probably fair. We outplayed them in the second half at Portman Road. They might think that they're favourites to edge it there. But I think it'll be a really good game. And I think both teams will certainly score in it. I hope we do get something out of the game, though, because we don't want to lose the impetus of trying to get second.
No. Shabby says Coventry 2, ITFC 1, Akpom. Mike's gone for a 2-0 Coventry win. We know what happens when we go a goal down. No heart in the side, says Mike. Colin's gone 2-3, as I said earlier. And Luke said, we go a goal down. We try to get back in it. Can't see anything.
Right, isn't it? That was the Sky stat, wasn't it? If you go back from Premier League into Championship, it's 30 plus games. Must be edging towards 40 games, I would have thought, maybe. I don't know.
It is. Yeah. Mabby's gone for a 7-0 Town win. That's what his heart says. Kiprate scores them all, but his head also says 1-1 Town own goal. I'll be doing a watch along, so come and join me 5 or 10 minutes before kick-off. We'll do a watch along. So hopefully we'll be watching a Town victory, a convincing victory. I'm certainly going in with that mindset because, you know, just want to believe.
Sorry, Mike, I was going to say before I forget, what made me chuckle, and Steve, did you see this? Oxford sacked Gary Rowett, didn't they? Because they've only had 1 win in 10. Who was the one win against?
Dr. Ipswich Town was the one win. And,
away from home.
Obviously, Mike O'Leary was mentioned in the chat earlier, and I know you mentioned you don't feel that's in response to the poor recruitment, and I agree. But you also have to think, what did Mike O'Leary bring to the table in his position? What did he take off the work list? Because Mark Ashton,
superb array of box files that set behind him.
It's a huge task being a chairman of a football club. Right, but now you've got a chairman of a football club who's also overseeing recruitment. Like, it's a lot on the plate of Mark Ashton. So you do question, like, what did Mike O'Leary take off that plate to allow you know? Do you know what I mean? Like, it has
too much, honestly.
He was a mentor to Ashton as well. Wasn't he? I mean, that was pretty much the reason why he came in to begin with, wasn't he? Someone he'd worked with for years and years. I mean, maybe the plan was always to hand it over. I'm not really a fan of a chair and CEO be going to the same person, because you've got actually nobody to bat against, have you? You know, the ideas to go against. You can be surrounded by yes men, can't you?
I don't know. Never in that position. I'd love to find out. You know, I absolutely would. But it is a big job, both of them.
Huge.
And when you combine them, it's a huge.
I mean, look, I don't want to be negative about Mark Ashton. I mean, you just watch the 2-2s around the stadium and the training ground. It's absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure there's teams watching in the other supporters of other championship clubs, and even ones that are up the road, not too far away in yellow green, going, bloody hell, I wish that was us. Yeah. So that's really good. But at the end of the day, they are going to be judged on what the 1 to 11 on the pitch. And I know we're third and everything, but it just seems to me that we are 2-3 gears below what we should be at, for me.
Yeah, I agree. Don't forget, we are part with Stowmarket Osteopaths. Quality care in Stowmarket since 1985. It's a long, long time offering quality osteopath and physiotherapy services. Give Freddie a call. He's the governor there. 01449 613 633. That's 01449 613 633. But we are done for our match preview. Well over where I thought we would be. But it's been a fantastic conversation. Don't forget, we are live tomorrow. Watch along and a match reaction. Then live again on Tuesday evening, where we unpack, hopefully, Town beating Coventry 3 points and where it leaves us and all those different things that we talk about on our flagship podcast. But until then, Steve, thank you so much. Been wonderful. Matt, as always, thank you. And check the merchandise out on Etsy, Talking Town Threads. But you, wonderful audience, you've been amazing. As always, join us tomorrow. But until then, enjoy your Sunday. Yes, it's Sunday, the 28th. I know we lose track with Boxing Day, Christmas Day. Like, where are we? But it is Sunday, so enjoy it. And, Chicago Bears are NFC North champions. Happy days. You've reached the end. Thank you so much for watching. Hit here to subscribe. It's totally free. And hit here for more Talking Town videos. I'll see you on the next one.